Welcome to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
And I am Rob Schulte. And Bill, it's a big day because we're trying things new. You got to try things new. You got to spice it up. You got to keep things going so that people know you're not getting stagnant.
That's true. I mean, that's what all the good self-help books of the 70s and 80s would tell you. You
Mhm,
know, you
mhm.
got to get a little Dr. Ruthie with your podcast and your show every now and then and just be like, "Hey, you know, come on over. I know we talked about doing this.
Oh
Why
yeah.
don't we just why don't we make tonight the night we give it a shot?"
Well, and here's the thing, Bill. It really does harken back to the first thing we ever did, which is sold in the room.
Sold in the Room, a good classic. A lot of fun, loved doing it. It was indeed the genesis of this crazy idea where we're like, let's just not talk to each other over the phone. Let's just
No.
talk over the internet and let anybody in the world see it.
I think it's fair to say that other people have done it, but we might be doing it best of all.
Wouldn't that be great? Because how much is there left to invent in the world? You're just you just want to be the best at it.
Yeah, the
Just
the best around. Oh wait,
yeah,
different martial arts movie, I think.
yeah, different martial arts movie. Or, if you wanna be the best at it, not the National Lampoon's hand in the Kool-Aid jar kinda best at it, just the best at it.
Just the best at it.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, what are we watching today? Because okay, so we should, if people are tuning in on Twitch, they may not know that you and I have a Patreon based podcast called Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure, where what's your elevator pitch to Bill and Rob's?
Bill and Rob's is a trip to the video store with your friends and then watching it and talking about it. If you really get down to it, that's what it is. It's the fun of movie night. Not really whether you picked a good one or a bad one. Did you have any fun? And that's
Mhm.
what we do here.
Mhm. Yeah, so here's the thing. We always have fun.
It's
Are the
true.
movies we watch the funnest? Yes, always, I think. I think they're always fun in one way or another because we get to talk about them. But what we do is you pick a series of roughly 6 movies, and then I pick a series of roughly 6 movies. They can be loosely themed or they can be a franchise. We just wrapped up covering all of the RoboCop movies, including the video game.
Mhm.
And now you have created a theme called Macho Cheese.
Macho cheese. Macho
Now,
cheese, the idea is if your movie could come with a mustache. That's what the theme of these picks are.
I love it. I love it. The thing is that do you think Macho Cheese is the best that you've done? Is this so far the pinnacle of everything that's come to be?
I'll tell you, here's the thing. I'm never good at lists, favorites, top 10s, or bests because things change.
That's
Now,
true.
am I'm particularly proud of the title of this one. I think this is my best title so far. I don't think we really know till we get to the end of the series, but I think this has been definitely, I'd say, top 2. It's hard to beat Sibling Rivalry,
Yeah.
which was a
Yeah.
series that I had picked where we watched movies with the famous brothers or others of a famous family. So instead of a Patrick Swayze, it was the films of Don Swayze. I mean, that's
Uh-huh.
just Rob knows. This is how my brain works. I have 2 real goals when I do this. One, dig up some stuff that I've hopefully never seen, and if have, it's kind of weird and out there because that's what I like. And 2, shove it at Rob's and see his reaction. And hopefully he just looks at it and laughs. That's what I want. I want him to be like, "Oh man, you did it again, Bill."
And you always do. You always do.
That's my goal. That's what I try to do. I mean, that's what movie night should be. Movie night used to be, "Hey man, we've rented a movie. Let's all hang out and just have a fun night with this thing." And, we don't make excuses for the movie. I think some of the movies we watch are bad, but I think the big pitch of this is like there's people who intentionally make a bad movie, and then there are movies that are bad, but everybody was putting their all into it. It just turned out, quote unquote, bad. And maybe that bad might not be so bad after all. So that's the best part of me picking stuff is shining a light on something that you might have just blown right on past if it had come into your field of vision. And like, you know what? Maybe give that a second thought. Maybe that movie will work for you tonight.
It happens. I mentioned it in today's episode of Greatest Trek as we're recording this, that
Yes.
you have shown me movies like Doll Man, which was our previous episode that we have already recorded at this time. And you never know what's going to happen when Doll Man is brought to the table.
This is very true. And for those just seeing us for the first time there, I'm a good bit older than Rob's, about 11 years older than you, actually.
Just
So
about.
I'm a child of the late 70s and 80s. So I grew up with a bunch of these movies, and they're a different kind of bad movie. So from where you start out, films hadn't significantly changed. Like I feel like we've talked about this as they've changed since the start of the new millennium with the tools and what kind of movie you get and what's considered a low budget versus a big budget movie. My world was proliferated with movies like this that were they were to fill spots on the video store shelves. You remember these times too.
Oh,
And
yes.
so, how many times did you ever walk in to your job at the video store, Rob, official video store worker, and look around and go, I did not know that this person made that many movies.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I worked at a Sam Goody Suncoast. So like I was like, I'm just gonna every Friday night that I work, I'm gonna buy another movie because I get such an extreme discount. When those Back to the Future first DVD box sets came out, like when people were like, oh, we can now put special features on things. Like that was the heyday of when
Mm-hmm.
I was working there. But my friend around that same time, well, a few years later, I guess, she worked at the Hollywood Video. So not then once I was like off of my Suncoast kick, she would be like, "Oh, well, just come rent this thing. Like, it's $1. I'll give you my store discount." And then that was even more like, "Well, what do we have to offer? What is the thing that can choose?"
Yeah. And also, how many times did you go to the video store with your movie in mind? Like you wanted the new thing or you wanted the hotness, and you walked in and all 15 copies
Yeah,
gone.
yeah,
But you got to take something home.
uh huh.
So you go
And
shopping up and down the aisles.
well, Bill, what are we taking home today?
Today, for this edition of Macho Cheese, I've picked a movie that is a cult classic. It is one I had not seen before this viewing. I had only heard of. This is 1985's Gymkata, starring world gymnastics gold medal champion Kurt Thomas, who I had not really remembered until we watched this movie, and in doing some research to fill in our sections that we talk about, things started coming back to me about Kurt. So this was kind of
Oh,
a fun
really?
experience in the research department to go, oh yeah, now I remember where I've seen him from that thing and why he looks familiar.
And not Kirk Cameron or Kirk Cameron.
No, not Kirk Cameron. Kirk Cameron's he's left behind Kata, and
Yeah.
that's where he can stay. I can't see
He's
Kirk
saving
Cameron doing.
Christmas Kata.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Kirk Cameron do a martial arts
Oh,
gymnastics movie ranks right up there with, I don't know, Danny DeVito doing The Godfather.
wow.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
I think I would watch
It's
DeVito and The Godfather. I don't think I could
I'd
watch Cameron.
I'd I'd watch him in anything
Yeah, it's
for
true.
sure.
Well, Bill, what we like to do on this show is read the back of the VHS box for anyone who may not have seen this movie. And I think what would be good, you've got your sound off on the video in the corner. Maybe if you don't mind, I read the back of the box this time. Maybe you can play that opening credits and we can just have a vibe going.
Absolutely. So let me cue this
Because
up here.
these are some iconic opening credits.
Yeah, I mean, this is classic. How much money do we have to do the opening? Well, it's not a lot. So, all right, we're gonna let this thing rip. So here we go.
All right. Gymkata, 1985. Kurt Thomas, athlete extraordinaire and first American to take the gold in World Gymnastics competition, makes his film debut in a martial arts spectacular like none seen before, when the deadly secrets of the East and the fighting skills of the West are united in an Olympic-class gymnast. The result is astounding. The Gymkata warrior. The key to national security lies in obtaining a Star Wars warning location in the savage country of Parmistan. Not Parmesan,
No, I had that
Parmistan.
same
Yeah.
had that same problem.
To win this vital sight, someone must enter the country and play the game. A deadly test of endurance and risk. Jonathan Cabot, Thomas, volunteers to try and accomplish the impossible. Under the guidance of a beautiful and mysterious princess, Jonathan turns his incredible array of gymnastic feats into a lethal arsenal. Braving betrayal and terrorists, Jonathan gets his turn at the terrors of the game. Can he win? Thomas's That's the thing that we learn is that I will flub at least once every time.
It's endearing.
Yeah. Jonathan gets his turn at the terrors of the game. Can he win? Thomas's charisma, his ability to electrify his audience, transfers powerfully to the screen. The talented producer director team that introduced Bruce Lee to the American audiences ensures nonstop action. Together, they promise Gymkata means excitement.
Man, never done this before with a background track.
Yeah.
But
I
Schulte,
think you could
really
turn the
brought it home.
volume off of that background track at this point.
Yeah,
because
we're
those
good.
horses, they scared me. I think that's what caused my stir.
Yeah, I mean, peek behind the kimono, everybody. We're figuring it out. Sounds tricky. Sound is very tricky.
Yeah, it truly is. And Bill, I need to respond to this text, but keep going. Where did you first see Gymkata? When did it come into your lexicon?
Gymkata has been around for me not all that long, actually. I'm sure they have floated by in the store, but since we've started doing this show, I'm also a fan of perusing other shows that cover some of this material. Not to ape any of it, of course, but just to get an idea of other movies that other guys have like that I might want to see. And Gymkata came up on another show, and I thought, man, I think there's more to this movie than meets the eye based on their breakdown of it, which was always some of them always skew towards absolutely just lambasting a movie for just the sake of it, which can be entertaining, but of course, we try to take it on its own merits first. And then if it needs a lambasting, we give it that way. But it's something about it. It hits that 80s cable vibe for me. It's that perfect movie that would have sucked me right in and hit the button on play immediately. And it's that era of VHS painted cover, just very little to do, if anything, with the movie involved. And it's got a cool name. Like, you've never heard anything like this before. What is this that is happening? What is a Gymkata? So I had to watch it. Just had to put it on the list.
Well, that's great, Bill, because it's a movie that I thought I had seen. I thought I had seen Gymkata, but I had not seen Gymkata. I had been told I needed to see Gymkata, and I never saw it. So watching it for today, I watched it this week for today's recording was an enlightening experience. And I will tell you this: I had to rewind a few times because I said, how did that happen? That seemed to be all wrapped up pretty simply there at the end.
Yeah. Let's not kid ourselves. Gymkata is a B movie for sure. And I think you get that, especially from the box, because when you get those back of the boxes with what I will call the long description, this one going well into describing the actual star of the movie and his real life accomplishments, you're like, okay, all right, movie, you're doing your best you're giving me a sales pitch. You're telling me that somebody in here is worth watching. So you got me. Let's give it a try. And did that girl that just was on screen, like, I just thought, okay, she's a thing in the movie. Like, if you watch these movies and you see the first nice looking lady following the dude who kind of looks wistfully after our hero, you think, oh, she's clearly Jennifer from Back to the Future. She's going to play a role in it. Nope.
No,
not a role.
Nope.
That was her whole bit. Done.
Yep. Well, Bill, we like to separate our episodes into patented segments. Is there a way you'd like to explain how these segments are done?
The segments are fairly simple. We have a few that we hit. We'd like to do one where we talk about some facts, some likes, some dislikes, and some amusement. Basically, 5 overall. The last one we'll get to here shortly. But the first one we go over is, did we find anything interesting about the movie Gymkata or its production or anything surrounding it? And I always like to give it a little fun name for each section, which can be harder than some on certain ones. So Gymkata
Yep.
proved to be
Yep.
a bit perplexing until I realized there is a point in this movie shortly where the man that's on screen now, the head of the SIA, not the CIA, is telling Kurt Thomas where he must go. And he tells him, you have to take a plane and you will then take a boat and you will be on Karabal on the Caspian Sea, which the movie then transitions to the scene, which is supposedly Karabal, with a title card that says Karabal on the Caspian Sea. And I'm like, are you screwing with me right out the door, movie? So
Uh-huh.
they got their facts. That's a fact. So that's my section, Karabal on the Caspian Sea. So, Rob, did you find anything interesting in looking into the production of Gymkata?
I did, Bill. I did. I would like to point out, as you probably know, that Kurt Thomas was the shoe-in. He's won gold medals. We learned about that on the back of the box. But he was the shoe-in to be like the number one gold medal winner in the 1980 Olympics. But Bill, do you remember what happened in 1980?
Well, yeah, there just
We
was a little thing called a boycott.
Yep. The USA boycotted the Olympics that year due to Soviets invading Afghanistan. So Kurt Thomas was like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to pivot to B-level action films.
Yeah, I was 7 then, so
Mm-hmm.
the memories of that are vague, but, it was a big deal back in the day, and it's still one of those things that resounds when the Olympics come up. Everybody knows what it is. If you don't know much about Olympic history, you usually know about the 1980 boycott. So, I mean, and I always feel so bad for athletes in these situations. I never feel bad, if they compete and they don't win or whatever, that's the way of the game. But whenever they get shorted the opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
try, that's
Mm-hmm.
just got to be gut wrenching because this is what they do. That's all they do is train. Their
Yeah.
whole life, their whole goal is to try and get that medal, and then just to be taken out, not on a technicality, but for a political reason, not your own. You're not hurt. They didn't cancel the thing. That's got to just it's got to just suck in more
It's
ways
got
that
to
I don't think I
sting.
could even imagine.
It
I
has
don't think.
got to sting, I just I feel for the people who do this. Or the Olympics have ups and downs in terms of like what they you, people have got their feelings on it, and I get that. But it does suck to know that he was just like, oh, cool. You guys just we're gonna okay, great. I won't take my Wheaties box this year, I guess.
Right. And from all in facts that I could see and looking up my own stuff, like he was the man. He was the one that put USA gymnastics on the map, on the world stage. Like it was his moment to have, and he didn't get
Mm-hmm.
to have it. So
Well, Bill, did you find anything on the Caspian Sea for
I
this movie?
did. Kind of in the same vein, like the way that Kurt Thomas got this role, he didn't try out for it. He was courted by Fred Weintraub, the producer, who had seen him in a commercial. Fred Weintraub was working on this movie, and they needed a star, and he saw Thomas. And what I have to believe is the Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial that he did in around 1983, because I found it on YouTube, and I'm looking at, and that is what sparked my memory of, oh my God, that's right. Back in the Wheaties box commercial era, you would see all these people. We all remember Mary Lou Retton and Bruce Jenner and all this stuff. And then he's on screen. I'm like, he's Kurt Thomas is very small in stature. He's lithe, he's strong. He's just he's Robin the Boy Wonder in my mind, he's doing the things that he could do. So it's crazy. And he said in an interview, like, he doesn't know martial arts. He did not know a single martial art when they did this movie. So to think that you're in the days of making a movie where you're like, you got your budget, you got your stuff. We're going to make a martial arts movie. I want this kid, Weintraub. He doesn't know martial art. Don't care. He looks good. Put him in. The mullet's great. Size is fine. Let's do it. Boom. And he got to do a martial arts movie without a lick of training. Like, how does that happen ever? And how would it ever happen again? It was a great time to just be plugging away in the movies. I think it just everything Wild West, everything goes.
I love that. Bill, I'm getting sucked into the watching it in the corner because we've now been in the training montage that happens like what 7 minutes into the movie, and he's already walking on his hands up the stairs.
Yeah.
So people who are watching this after the fact on the Patreon and not seeing it live on Twitch, like, it is one of the most amazing scenes in the movie. But Bill, not to take away from your point, which is incredible, but should I say one of my next fact here?
You're contractually required to do so, Rob.
It is so true. I am. So there is a quote, and I'm using quotes from this movie, Village of Crazies or Town of Crazies in this movie, that they actually used people from, and of course I people can lie on the internet all they want. All right, I get that. But apparently all of these folks were from a local asylum in 1980. So use that info as you were. Except for when they were kicked by Cabot in the movie, that was actually a stunt person. So no one from an asylum is actually getting kicked in this movie.
My mind is going through the complexity of any year and any era. This opening the doors to a mental asylum and using the people inside in some way, whether they're confident or not. Like, I don't really know how confident these people could have been. Clearly they had to be some level of it to take any kind of direction whatsoever. But I mean, watching the film, I kind of believe it. I kind of believe it on some level, because a lot of them have kind of that 1,000-yard stare where I think modern actors will talk about it now, like CGI, when they'll say it's a monster, but for me, it's a golf ball on a stick with an X drawn on it. Like, they all kind of have that look about them. But I think, Rob, like, this is why you shoot in Yugoslavia, I guess, in 1985, because how do you get the paperwork done? How do you get insurance? How do you cover any of this and make it not blow up in your face?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Completely. But what's your other fact?
Well, in reference to what Jackie Chan always says, which is the line I thought of, was Thomas did all his own stunts except for one. And this movie shot, you can see it's him. Everything they're doing is him. And it was just one stunt in an alley in Carabal where I guess it was too wet. They said they were afraid he would get hurt. The guy's doing all the stuff that you're going to see on screen, but for some reason at this moment they thought he was going to get hurt, so they had one of his stuntmen do it. But they laugh and they joke. I just got done watching The Fall Guy in real time as we record this last week, and anytime I watch a thing where it's like, here's an actor playing a stuntman with other actors, it's that weird kind of, your brain's got a lock around it. Like, I'm playing the thing, but I'm not really, and I've got stuntmen because I'm really an actor. And like, okay, how do you do all this? And he's just doing it all, and he doesn't have to. They had to, they do that in their like, well, we can't let you get hurt. We got to film the movie, blah blah blah, and not back in the 80s, man. It's just like, okay, nobody else can do. Probably because what he's doing, like, we saw him somersault earlier, standing in the room with the princess, and that's who the young lady is on the screen, and he does it effortlessly. He somersaults backwards like you and I walk through a door. It's crazy. So who else?
I half the time, Bill, will run into the door frame when I'm walking through a door.
Yeah, not above that myself. Door frame, wall, whatever it takes. So I will not be in Gymkata 3. That's just not me. And I say 3 because I found out I'm pretty sure there's a sequel.
Oh my God. Well, speaking of sequels, Bill, actually, that would have been a great segue for me to be like, let's hit up our second segment. But I actually want to tell you something else before we hit our second segment. Um, over on Vanderpump Robs, my hit Vanderpump Rules podcast,
To indeed.
I I'm doing something special over the summer over on the Patreon, and I'm covering all of the Angel movies, which I think I've told you I'm doing that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I just recently found out there's an Angel 4,
Oh
and
God, Lord.
the only place I could find it was a $35 DVD on eBay. Uh, Buyer beware,
Mm-hmm.
or thank God someone uploaded it to YouTube. And this
Perfect.
is now, here's the thing. Angel is a different actor in every single movie. Every single movie, a different Angel.
Mm-hmm.
But she's always got brown hair. And she always looks similar to the Angels before.
Okay.
Angel 4, totally new do, blonde bombshell. I was like, oh, y'all really just didn't care in this one.
Ah, yeah, the hard reset, the coin
Uh-huh.
advancification of your characters, of course.
Yep. Yep. Well, should we go to our next segment? And would you like to tell our beloved listeners what that is?
This is our segment where we go over a couple of things that we really liked about what we saw on screen. Every time we do this, I always pray that we find at least two. So far, we have. Someday we might not, in which case, we'll call an audible. But in reference to Thomas's background, I call this one Sticks the Landing. So
Love it.
here's the thing that I found out while watching this movie that really stuck the landing with me is, and this was an overall thing, but I really got into it pretty much right after the training scene as they're going through, and the Princess of Parmistan here is his love interest, but through that training scene, she doesn't really give him the time of day.
No.
Doesn't even talk to him. Never speaks
No.
a word. And then just boom, they're in it to win it. And it was such a hard shift that I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. And it's just going to have to stay that way. The
Yeah.
movie leans into it as you go. Nothing about this movie makes any sense, folks. It really doesn't. Like it's a very thin story, so it's not complicated, but what's there, the actions that happen, I don't know. It's not how you think anything would work in real life. But when you call your movie Gymkata,
Uh-huh.
there
Uh-huh.
better be gymnastics and there better be some martial arts in there, and there better be fighting everywhere you turn. And this movie, it happens. Thomas, as we're seeing on screen, it delivers. He and Richard Norton, who we know from our previous series, Lady Killers, that I pulled out, he is the male lead in China O'Brien.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And well-renowned martial artist, B-movie, Chinese, Hong Kong film star, fight choreographer. He's done a million things. He's an amazing guy. They throw all the punches. They do all the things. And this is one of those movies where they'll always tell you, like, turn off your brain so you can enjoy it. I never say that. I don't think you should turn off your brain, but you do have to make a pact with the movie that you're going to suspend your common sense. The movie's asking you to do it up front.
Yep.
And if you do it, then you can roll along with what you're seeing on screen. And for me, it made it more enjoyable because now we're both on the same level. One of us isn't trying to fool the other one. And
We're
I can,
here.
we're here, you're near, and do your backflip and let's get on with it. I'm down with that.
Same. I will have to say that we did just skip over one of my favorite scenes that I will be talking about later. We didn't skip over. It played in the background, which
Okay.
I love. But I'm not going to say that quite yet. I'm going to stay with the thing I liked first. Like, if I'm going chronologically, is that the beginning of this movie really gives us a twist. And not just an acrobatic twist. It gives us that, yes. But here's the sequence of events: gymnastics with the black background and credits. Then we have some sort of forest chase scene where I'm telling you, I was like, did we go back in time? Which I
Yeah.
guess we kind of did, if you think, but
Eh,
not like 100 years back in time.
no.
And then we get flash forward or cut back to what feels like present day, where we have more gymnastics plus government. And I was like, okay,
Right.
all right, just let me have it, movie.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Yeah. Same feeling. I'm like, where did the Mongols come from? And why are they coming across this weird
Uh-huh.
plane?
Uh-huh.
And then why is this man in a JCPenney tracksuit running
Yep.
through this brightly lit field that looks like a state park? What is happening?
Yep.
So right there with you. It shakes you from jump.
Yep. Well, what's your other like, or what else do you think stuck the landing?
Overall, not just what the movie asked of you, what they did. I couldn't find definitively what the budget was for this movie.
Hmm.
I'm sure it was low. The movie brought in only around $6 million domestically. I found some things that said it was somewhere in the range of $4 million. Which, if you're going to take a film crew to Yugoslavia and film, like, I could get behind that. That probably is
Sure.
pretty right. I mean, and that's definitely a low budget film for the time. But we get a lot for our 4 million budget than we would from a lot of other B movies. And then maybe because the lack of a big name star, because this is Kirk Thomas's first role and
Yeah.
it's starting out for him. So, he's not making a couple $1 billion on it like Tom Cruise would today. That probably really helps because, you save on the cost for your cast, you save on salaries. The location is expansive. They make a good use of Yugoslavia. You see all these streets, they film in cities. Like, there's no real set work that I could pick out. If there's sets, maybe the warehouse,
Yeah.
maybe something like that. But overall, all these chases through the streets, through the countryside, all this stuff, it looks really good. And it's a big cast, tons of extras, tons of people doing stuff all the time. And again, you get Norton and his ability to work with this gymnastic martial art thing that he's invented with Kurt Thomas. It delivers a lot more than a standard martial arts movie would, because we all know karate and kung fu, and there's a million people in the world that can do it and pull it off on screen. But you find me another person that's doing, pommel horse fight scenes and Chekhov's parallel bar in the alley that just come. It makes me think of like that part in a TV show like The Bionic Man, where he would zoom in on the thing that he was just about to hit or do or pull out of the ground. Thomas has that same look, like he locks in on something, goes, ooh, that's close enough to a high bar for me to do spin around and kick some
Yep.
guy in the face. I'm doing that.
Yep.
So I
100.
yeah, great honorable mention. Great work for using your money in the best way possible.
Hey, we're here for that because my next like is very similar, Bill. Like, for the story they have, they make a great film. It's all there. And there's no dangling through. I mean, they do have to kind of like clean it up at the end a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
it's that meme where someone's like the idea and then the execution, and it's like a really like well drawn horse, and then like
Uh-huh.
by the end of the horse it's like scribbled like a stick figure leg,
Uh-huh.
because this does really have to wrap up pretty damn fast. But
It does. And I was a little confused going back to your first point. The whole idea of the game threw me
yeah,
off a little bit, because in the very beginning they tell you that every foreigner who enters Parmistan must play this game. So
yeah.
basically, this is a country that if you go to, you have to enter into a life or death obstacle course.
And does that mean everyone we see in part?
That's the way I read it. Like, that's the way the movie presents it, that if everybody who is a foreigner has to do it. It wasn't that everybody who wants something, which
Yeah,
clearly Thomas does, he's there
because you do
for.
get your wish granted.
Yeah, you get to live. They say this specifically. You get to live and you get a wish. Like, this isn't Aladdin, but
Yeah,
that's how they present it. It's weird. And
and
it
the
was like,
government
okay,
needs their Star Wars station set up in the mountains.
boy, I'm surprised Lucas doesn't demand a little residual every time that comes up on the screen. I remember that big hullabaloo back in the day. So
Yeah.
nice that they got that under the radar. But yeah, it's a weird story. It's not complicated, but oh boy, it is a
uh,
thing that happens.
well, you know what is complicated, Bill? And that is sometimes we have complicated feelings about the films we watch.
Much like in life, we can be of two minds about just about everything. Sometimes you can hate the thing that you love. And this is one of those situations you can find. Maybe hate, probably too strong a word, but we'll see. This is a section where we do go over a couple of the major dislikes that we found with the movies, something that just kind of kicked us in our craw or, you know, pommeled us into submission. But this is
Mm.
one, and we've already talked about it, but it just seemed appropriate. I now dub this section, we're in the village of the crazies.
Yeah, it's true. Who should go first, Bill? Your choice.
Why don't you go first?
Well, I'll go with my simplest one, and that is that when we eventually see the king of Parmistan, I thought it was Mel Brooks.
You won't believe
And
this,
I guess
Rob.
that's not really much of a dislike, but it made me stop watching the movie to go, wait, hang on. Am I watching History of the World, Part 1?
So just full transparency, everybody. Rob's and I don't discuss in depth anything we're going to say before this. I have the exact same note in my notes.
No.
Is this Mel Brooks's stunt double? And I'm watching this movie last night, and my wife came in the room and she looked, and I said that same thought. I'm like, this guy, I get such Mel Brooks vibes off him. And she said, oh no, he's Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka.
Oh.
I think we're both right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what I think he also is not is Asian. And I think we should point out that, yes, we have mentioned this film shot in Yugoslavia. Parmistan is supposed to be an Asian country.
Yes. Like Southern Asian, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This is not that. and nobody in the movie is that except for the princess. And when you see her father, yeah, gotta wonder, please, what was your mom? We don't see the mom, but she's like, you definitely take after your mom because you do not take after your dad.
It
It's
is
crazy.
it's wild, the casting in this movie, because it does feel like it was like everyone's friend, and then who they could pay $50 for, the day.
Yes, yes. I kept saying this looks like a Seinfeld background. Like if they're in a crowd on Seinfeld,
Yeah.
the people behind them look like the people you would see in that shot.
Very odd. But yeah, I think so. It looks like a couple of our dislikes line up. I will say my other dislike was, we get right into that training montage. We talked about this at the beginning. And as much as I love him walking on his hands up the stairs, like, tell me more about the training montage. It's just that fighting with sticks and walking upstairs on your hands. I think that, like, let me know what's going to happen in the game,
Right.
And this isn't our first game movie, right?
No.
What
No.
was the one with during sibling rivalry?
Death Ring.
Death Ring, yeah. And at least in Death Ring, you kind of like got an idea of what's happening. But in this one, you just know that you have to play a game.
Right.
And it seems to me as we watch it, it's more of like long distance running with like some obstacles than anything else.
Yeah, it's not so much a game. You're right. It's more of an endurance race. I don't think you would call it a game because there are other contestants that we will see on screen, but technically they don't fight each other. They're competing against each other.
And does that mean they just want to enter the country at the same time then?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know because
you have
they
to play
don't.
The game because you want to enter the country. So
yes, and we're told that the game is very dangerous and most people don't survive, and no outsider has won it in 900 years.
900 years.
900 years. That's some good record keeping. Let me tell you.
So that's good record keeping. That's phenomenal for a country to like have the record keeping. This has to be some sort of government like implementation, right? So nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, you got to do the game. We've always done the game.
Yeah, and my question is like, is this the original Mark One version of the game? Is this like
Mm.
version 842? Because rope changes and landscape changes
Yep.
and people change. So that 900 is really supposed to sink it home that this is a big time thing that nobody messes with. And
Ugh.
I mean, a movie shorthand for back in the day. But it was confusing. It's unclear at any point kind of why people do what they do in the game. I could have used a little more there.
It's the big game,
It is. I
You
mean,
know.
at the end of the day, the game is survival. That part we get.
And I guess just to wrap up my my thought though, Bill, it's like give me a training montage that tells me what the hell is going to happen in the game.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd been like, all right, you got to work on this because there's a mountain to climb, and you got to work on this because there's ravines you got to run through, like as he's doing it, that would have gone a long way towards not only understanding what's going on a little more, but actually kind of putting some more, trauma and danger and suspense and worry about the game because you're like, oh
Yes.
man, that doesn't sound good at all. He's gonna have trouble.
That's what it is. Well, Bill, what's our next segment before we rate this thing?
Well, I actually have one last trip to the village. I have one other thing on my list.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm
Oh,
so
I
sorry.
know. I will not shoot arrows at you from a distance as you try to scale a
I got
cliff.
to hear your other dislike. I was so obsessed with the game.
I know. And this is very specific. As a podcast producer extraordinaire, you'll understand this. I'm sorry, but the ADR in this movie is some of the worst I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's
It's
not good.
bad. Now, a
It's
lot of
no
the
Manos
convers
Hands of Fate.
No, 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 no. Manos takes the absolute it's the game winner of all game winners for that movie. But and it's not a lot of the bulk of the talking and the regular interactions. We do get the Indiana Jones we do get the Indiana Jones tree chopping sound
Ah,
when they punch
yes.
people. But when things get quiet, particularly in the village of the crazies, and it goes slow motion, like everybody's voice starts getting squeaky like a small child. There's these weird high pitched whirs and giggles, and the sound that's supposed to be Kurt Thomas is not Kurt Thomas. I don't know what that voice is, but it's like a 4-year-old girl, not a 21 or so year old grown man. It's just
Yep.
really it messed with me, and that's the one thing in the movie that felt genuinely bad because that's something that you do back in the studio, and you don't have to be that bad at it, but you let it go. So I'm really, really sorry they did that because it was bad enough that they had the super long slow mo scene, which is not one of my favorites, but and it's actually an honorable mention for me in this point. But the ADR they put under it just it made a long scene that much longer. And
It's not a thing you are able to do in a movie that you want people to take serious. Even though who's asking anyone to take this movie serious? I don't know. I get what
true,
you're saying. How about that?
true, true.
Okay, now should we move on? I guess.
Well, we don't have a choice because we're out of things for that segment. We could make
Oh
stuff
yeah.
up, but we won't. We
No,
stick to the
I'm not
topic.
here to talk dislikes all day and night.
So this is the section where we pick a couple of things that just amused us, something that tickled us, something that made us laugh, something that just really caught our attention and you kind of can't let go of for a couple of seconds. And I've named this segment in honor of a character that will come up later, once again in the Village of the Crazies. Got to say that's the scene that keeps on giving. And I call this segment "He's wearing an assless frock."
You go first this time, Bill.
Uh, why is there a 1965 Pontiac in the streets of the Asian country of Parmistan? I've mentioned this before. I'm a car guy. Love cars, love classic cars. I've owned some. They always catch my eye. And what people do with cars in movies is one of the things that really tells me whether I do or do not enjoy those parts of the movie. And as they were doing the chase scene earlier, running down the streets, like, this is supposed to be Asia. And if whether it's Asia or Europe, you forget that it's actually they're small cars. They have small streets, they have small cars, they're brands you've never heard of, they're things you've never seen. And then there's this big land yacht Pontiac stuck in the middle of this 4.5 foot wide Yugoslavian street. What the hell is it doing there? Why is it there in the first place? And
What is going
why
on?
why would you use it? Why? I mean, I just don't. I want to know. I mean, was it there? It had to be there. Surely they
Is
didn't
it the
bring it with
king's
them.
car?
No, I don't think so. He's not in it. He doesn't ask about it. I mean, it's the Pontiac is not like a special awesome vehicle or anything. It's just
It's
this.
foreign. It's a
It
foreign
is.
car.
I mean, did it have to fight a vehicular game to get in the country? Was that somebody's
Hmm.
one wish, Robs? Maybe that was what it was. Somebody's one
Maybe.
wish was to own a Pontiac.
Well, my one wish is to get a director's commentary for this movie because I need
Oh
to know
man,
more. Yeah, I wonder if Vinegar Syndrome has a Gymkata or has it on their list.
it's got to be on their list if they haven't done it already, because they are doing, they're doing the assless frock monks work over there,
Yeah.
keeping these things alive
Oh,
as best they can. You'll pay the price, but boy, they really are. These are the films that need to be saved. This is as much a part of what we do with our time and our movie history as anything else. So, stand on the shoulders of Gymkata greatness, I say.
well, Bill, my amusing moment, my assless frock, if you will, is during the crazy chase in the village. I love that the village conveniently installed a lot of gymnastics equipment for him
Mm-hmm.
to just swing around and kick people all the live long day.
Mm-hmm.
It was wonderful. It made for a
Yeah.
great chase sequence. But the moment you go, why are there all of these bars in the alleyways?
Yeah. I'm gonna skip ahead here to our
Okay.
village. And let's see. All right. Well, first, for those of you viewing at home, here's the part our segment is named after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thomas is. I really don't know what the village deal was. Like he's asked, "Are we on the honor system?" But there you go. Why? Why
Why?
movie? Why?
Why?
That's just weird. But
Yeah.
here's the penultimate scene that Rob's discussing. One of them.
There's this one. And then I'm also like, it's a little while ago. Maybe it wasn't actually this village, but there's this scene. And then there's also the scene where he was running through the alleyways and there's just like bars for him to
Yeah,
swing along.
yeah. There's just a big old high bar for him to do. But
Yeah.
you got to admit, if you're watching this with us on the video, what he's about to do with this thing is incredible. Kurt
It's,
Thomas, my God, his skills were amazing. And I don't even know how you begin to coordinate something like this other than you have to fall back onto the rule of, all right, everybody attack one at a time,
well,
because that's the only
yeah.
way this works.
While they're all holding like ranged weapons.
Yeah, big
Like, why
sticks.
isn't that guy with the big hook hooking him?
They're not. They're just waving them around in the air, just kind of like they're like, look, kind of like you're signaling for the t-shirt shooter to
Yeah.
hit your
Yeah.
section.
Yeah.
But it was wild. It's absolutely wild. But hey, maybe they had done their research, and this is why Gymkata had to be the skill that won the game.
It's so true. Well, what's your amusing moment that wins this game?
So in the beginning of the movie, in the opening credits, we see a guy get taken down who's running the game. It turns out that is uh, Jonathan Cabot's dad. He had gone earlier. He'd played the game, didn't come back. They tell him that. So as they're going through this village and they're running along, he's doing the big chase. This one ninja helps him out from the crowd, and it turns out to be his freaking dad. He just
Yeah.
shows up. In the beginning, we see him get shot with an arrow in the side, plunged into a ravine, and we're like, okay, he dead. Nope, he not
Nope.
dead.
No.
He's just there. And he tells him, like, yeah, I'm bunged up a little bit. But seriously, in the
Yeah.
last, what, 15 minutes of this movie, like, Dad, you're like, what?
Surprise, son.
Looking like he's fresh off a men's cologne commercial with the look that he's got. And
The ninja who says we're just going to go to Costco for 15 minutes and keeps you there for
yeah,
the whole afternoon.
absolutely. The one that's like, hey, do you have the dad that's like, do you have 15 minutes to talk about our Lord and Savior with this pamphlet on your porch? And, so they, they take off, and lo and behold, here comes good old Richard Norton to spoil our fun here. Boom! 2 minutes later, he gets shot in the back with another arrow.
It's too much, Bill. It's too
And then
much.
he somehow survives this and is at the end of the movie on a horse. Apparently his son went back and got him and put him on a horse
Yeah.
and brought him home.
I know. At this point, I was not asking any questions. I was just letting the movie do its movie thing.
Right. And so, but here's my question that I came up with after this, Robs. Does that mean that Colonel Cabot is also a winner of the game? He crossed the finish line.
He has to be, right?
Right.
So what's his wish?
I don't know. Probably to get the arrow out of him would be
Yeah,
my
probably to live a healthy and happy life and never have to play the game again.
maybe to go home. Maybe that's
Yeah.
his one wish, is just to go home. But
I want to go
that
home.
that was a hell of an ask, movie, and it blew me away when I saw it. It made me laugh out loud.
So much so. Well, Bill, my other amusing moment is similar but different, and that is it's arrow related. There's a lot of arrows in this movie.
There are.
And there is a moment that made me literally scoff and laugh out loud. And not like, oh, this movie's bad or that's silly or this is stupid. Like, it literally was like comedic timing. And that was when they get here to Parmistan and they're walking through the like market with his handler, with Cabot's handler. And then out of nowhere, he's like, well, take a look at this. Like an arrow just flies into the handler. I was like, that was so out of nowhere. Like, it should have been surprising, right? It should have been like, oh my God, danger is near. You've almost found it in the screen, which is great. So if you've missed the live stream on this episode and you're watching on the Patreon, or if you're on the Patreon, go to the video and you will see this. Here we go in about 2 seconds.
Boom!
It was just like, when we get out of here, I'm thinking about buying myself a Pontiac.
We're dropping deals and dealers. I know. And it's like this alley where the guy gets shot, like this bazaar, is super crowded. And this arrow comes in like kidney high.
Yeah.
So the guy doing it had to be like 4 feet in front of him when he shot that arrow. But Cabot takes a hard right down the alley after that and just takes off running. So
it's wild.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy. But yeah, there's a lot of great movie deaths in this one that'll make you cringe for how painful some of them look, and then just some of those where it's like, whoa, didn't know you were going to die, but sorry, you're out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Scratch him from the call sheet.
Well, Bill, I think it's time to rate this thing, and we always like to remind our viewers, our listeners, how we rate things, because this might be their first episode. And especially if they're tuning in on Twitch right now, it's definitely their first episode.
Sure is, because it's our first time trying it this way. But yes, this is our wrap-up section. We call this one 5 Nights for $1. So what we do is we think back to a time where if you'd gone in your video store, there was probably a rack or a booth or some shelves or something in there that had a bunch of movies on it. And they might say something on the top like 5 nights for $1. Pick one of your movies, give them $1, keep it for 1 night, keep it for 5 nights. Totally up to you what the value of it is. And we don't compare our movies to anything else, not anything within the series we're watching, no sequels, no prequels, nothing. We've simply walked in. Rob has once again used his ID to go into the Suncoast Video and put his name in the computer directly. And well, you wouldn't have had Gymkata on the shelves, but for the purpose of this,
but if I went to the Hollywood Video that my friend worked at, yeah,
you might indeed. So we both grabbed our copy of Gymkata. We paid our $1. We've gone home. We've watched the movie. And now the question is, how many of those 5 nights are you going to keep your copy? How long will you possess it? How long will you play this game over and over on your dual head VHS machine? 1 night, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's up to you. So, Rob, why don't you take this one first?
Okay, let me think. I'm looking at my notes. Um, I think that I might surprise you here, Bill. I think I'm going to keep Gymkata for 4 nights.
Wow.
Now, I got to remind people, 4 nights isn't 4 out of 5 stars. So, and I think you will also agree. There's a podcast I listen to called Guys, and they are fully on board with the fact that like people don't know how to rate. Like a 5-star rating system is doesn't work because anything either gets 5 or 1, right?
Right. Yeah, it's
And
odd beyond words.
the best you need is a 3-star system, beginning, middle, or end. And that's not what our system is. 4 nights doesn't equal 4 stars. 4 nights is still good though, because that means I want to keep it for multiple nights. So I think I would get Gymkata. I would go, this is a blast. I want to watch it again while I'm doing chores tomorrow or something. I want to like invite a friend over and have a pizza party and watch it. And then I want to get to the bottom of Gymkata. And I want to figure out everything there is to know about Gymkata. I want to look up the people in Gymkata. And that's going to take at least 4 days.
Nice. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I'm gonna slightly amend mine based on what you've just said because I had a thought and it felt a little harsh when I first came up with it because I was gonna say I would keep Gymkata for 2 nights. Not for standing, because we'll talk about these movies and we'll say how much we like them, and then, like you said, the feeling can be flawed. Oh, that's 2 out of 5. That's not what this means, because I'm gonna rent it. I'm not gonna be in a hurry to get it back to the store, because I'm definitely gonna wanna peruse through it for another night. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna watch some more stuff. I'm gonna watch some of these fight scenes over again, because I guarantee you, the first time I pull this out of the video store, I've never seen anything like what Kurt Thomas is doing on screen. It's pretty awesome. And I tell you, if somebody out there knows where we see anything like this again, let me know, because I don't know where it is. And maybe the sequel has some of it, but I've never seen any Gymkata based movies since then.
No.
Now, here's where the asterisk comes in. It's actually a 3-night rating because this is a long distance asterisk 3rd night, because to boost up the 2 nights, at some point in my life, like I've done, I'm going to go find this movie and I'm going to buy it because I want to own it. I own it now. And it's one of those movies that I feel better about owning.
Yes.
And I have it in my possession because I had such
Which
a
is
good
why I
time
own
with it.
Sidekicks.
Exactly. It's one of those things that just speaks to you a certain way. It makes you happy in a certain way. And you want to have it in your life. You want to have access to it. You want to be able to say you own it, not just that
Yeah.
you watched it
Oh, yeah.
and it went away. So I want to keep it. So 2 nights for the actual rental, asterisk of at some point, someplace, on sale, used store, whatever, flea market, doesn't matter. I'm going to put in the time to pick up my copy of wherever I find it and go, you're coming home. You've won the game.
You're coming home with me, son. Yeah, that's great, Bill. Well, listeners, let us know, and viewers and Twitch streamers, let us know how many nights you would keep 5 nights for $1 by joining the Bill and Rob's Patreon at patreon.com/Bill and Rob's, where all the discussions are had. All of the videos are kept. All of the audio is kept. You can listen to this on your podcatcher over there, or you can rewatch the stream because the stream does not live in infinitesimal day. I take the stream down. It does. This is a live only. And Bill, it's
Limited
been
time only.
yes, and to the time that you are here. And I love that we're doing it this way. I love that we've been able to work with Rob Adler, who's been wonderful editing all of
Yes.
our podcasts. He's been doing it for the chump change we get from Patreon. So we're trying to ease up his life a little bit by doing these live streams. We'll bring him back for some more intensity when we do our docu series on Gymkata. And until then, though, Bill, I think, is there anything you'd like to say to our fans out there, our friends, even?
I would just say, if you like us, support us in the easiest way you can. Spread the word about our show,
Yeah.
please. We've been at it for a while. We have a large catalog on Patreon. We have some free
Yes.
episodes from our first 2 seasons out there if you want to go back and check out the Predator series that launched it all, where we also dabble in the obscure because we get into the Filipino-based knockoff of that
Mhm.
called Robo War. We really cover a lot of stuff. We're one of those podcasts that, yeah, we'll hit some of the mainstream stuff, but our bread and butter is trying to find some things that you might not have seen or we want to introduce you to. And overall, we have a great time doing it. We want to share that good time with anybody that watches or listens. So if you like what you've heard or you've seen, tell a friend, tell a family member. As usual, we all know the currency of this medium and what we're doing. So, if you can do that for us, it would be greatly appreciated. And please talk to us, give us some feedback, interact with us. We'd love to hear it. And because we want to keep doing these things on and on and on, because I have a list of thousands of movies that I need to assault Robs with. And we live across the country. So I can't just go down the hall and shove this in his face, although as much as I
No,
would like
it's
to.
against the law. And Bill, you're a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, unless I, have to go dark for my government mission where I guess I would what's the closest thing I have? I could do
Oh, okay.
takeout kata. I can when
Okay.
my wife's
Thank
late and she's like, "Hey, I need to send you on a mission to Wendy's."
you.
Then I do some takeout kata.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And I really hope you can join us next time. Bill and I are going to try and do our episode records like this for, the foreseeable future. Maybe next week. What do we got on store next week? What's the next
Well,
macho cheese episode?
yeah, well, the cheese takes on a real kind of Frenchy smell, I would say, after this one because we're going to do a little movie. We're going to stay in the 80s. It's 1988's Hell Comes to Frogtown, starring the one and only Roddy Piper.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first, and we will see everyone next time on Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure.